What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? Welcome back to another episode. I think this is episode 4, and yeah, excited to talk to you guys, share some things. It's been a good week so far. Hopefully, you guys have been having some good weeks in the passing since I've posted my last video. Yeah, so let's see. I'm gonna jump right into it as usual. I'm gonna be talking about um, perseverance. I'm gonna be talking about perseverance. I kind of been able to utilize that a little bit this week and in recent weeks, and yeah, I just want to talk about that, and I also want to touch on what else I want to touch on. Commitment. I think commitment, and I want to also touch on a little bit of perfection. Okay, so I'll go ahead and read what I have, and then we'll peel it apart layer by layer. All right, cool. All right. Perseverance is the continued effort in achieving something despite the difficulties, failures, or oppositions. The importance of following through regardless of imperfections is to realize that commitment is still a part of perfection. The importance of following through regardless of imperfections is still to realize that commitment is still a part of perfection. All right, so let's go to the top again. Perseverance is the continued effort in achieving something despite the difficulties. Okay, let's start with difficulties. Yeah, so it's natural to want to take a break from a lot of big challenges. It's natural to find yourself just being discouraged and not having the passion, to continue to push forward when things get difficult. We have failures in there too. Yeah, there are failures that can get the best of us. I feel like sometimes when I'm dealing with failures, it makes me feel like too many failures for me can really put me out of place with just keeping the passion for certain things I'm pushing for. And so I feel like that's something that it can really be hard to, because you can understand the difference between like um, knowing exactly what you need to do, you know, even when you know the rules of, complications and overcoming the complications. That's one thing that we all can, find ourselves doing. But in reality, you want to feel the way that you want to feel when you are pursuing whatever it is that you have a desire for. And I feel like when you have failures or have too many failures, when things are just way too difficult, I feel like for me, it's like, well, I also want to enjoy this too, right? I want to enjoy and be excited about what I'm pursuing. And if I'm just always having difficulties, if I'm always just having failures within this, it's like, how important is this for me to continue to do this? So these are things, that we just have to really, sit back and think about, difficulties, failures, or oppositions. Okay, so whatever the opposition is, again, I'm just going back to reflecting. When you are faced with oppositions of, just having you in an extreme difficult situation where you just can't seem to find a way to push forward. If we're going to fold, if we're going to take some time, to just pull away for a second, contemplating on if we're going to actually follow through with, this difficult task, that's just the first step, just sit back and reflect a little bit. And so, I want to move forward a little bit. So, the importance of following through, regardless of imperfections, is to realize that commitment is still a part of perfection. Okay, so imperfections, all of these different, challenges, all these different flaws that are in the way. I feel like when you put yourself in a situation where you are persevering, you can kind of cancel out the imperfections, right? You're canceling them out. I found myself this week being able to follow through with something that was very important, and it honestly, the past few months, it just kept seeming like I wasn't going to be able to accomplish it. And sometimes things that you're pursuing can be prolonged, or maybe it's not even something that's extremely valuable. But for me, my recent challenge, my recent endeavor is something very valuable that I needed to follow through with. And so I felt like, okay, how bad do you really want to do this? Because, for me, the setback for me was it needed to be, there was a preparation that needed to come with it. And so I wanted to deliver and accomplish this goal with a certain amount of excellence, okay? And so I prolonged it until I found myself being able to deliver that. But every time I would get to that level of perfection, something would offset it. And it just really got to me, and I said, well, if I'm going to wait forever, and I had a deadline, by the way. And I was willing to go past the deadline because of my mandatory desire for perfection out of this needed to be there. And I'm a perfectionist, and I enjoy being a perfectionist. I'm not an extreme perfectionist, but at times I can be. But overall, I usually just keep it just, tolerable, nothing too extreme. And because I know I have it in me to do the great levels, the high levels of what I'm delivering, I know I have it, so that's what I want to do, and I enjoy being able to do that. Anyhow, I figured, well, listen, you probably can pull this off in some type of satisfactory way, maybe even more than that. And it may not be in this, higher level of perfection, excellence or whatever, but if you follow through with it, maybe there's something to be a part of that. Now, I will say, as long as if you can follow through with something that is acceptable, I think that's the part that is important. It's like if you're showing up for something, if you're following through with something that you are not going to deliver, then that's unfortunate, okay? So just following through, that may not be that beneficial, but I was able to follow through this week with my task that ended up turning out to be pretty decent. It was pretty cool. And I learned some things on how I can be more better prepared. Okay, so these are things you can work on too, trying to make sure you're better prepared for certain things so that you can outsmart all the challenges. Okay, but if you can outsmart the challenges, how can you find yourself still following through? Because sometimes getting ahead, staying in rhythm, staying, committed to certain things, it's still a win. And I think that's what I had to learn, is that, like, that's still a win. It's obviously, like I said, as long as you can still deliver over satisfactory. Yes, sometimes you just got to follow through. If you want to, you know, reset yourself a couple times, maybe even a few times, okay, maybe. As long as it's not taking too long. But I've learned that, especially if you're a perfectionist, okay, there is perfection in just excelling, period. And so if you persevere through your challenges, over satisfactory, you have that, and you can still show up and still, accomplish. You'll get perfection the next time. You will deliver the way you want to the next time, and there is success, whether it's perfection or you just successfully following through. There is success in commitment. There's success in perfection. There's success in just keeping things going that's a part of your life and that's bringing you joy and bringing you things of value. So, yeah. I'm hoping that brought some really good knowledge for you guys, and hopefully this can help you out or help out somebody that you may know that could benefit from some of these videos I post. Okay, so if that's the case, you can always share it with them. You can also look me up on Instagram and TikTok. I'm there. King Renaissance. And what else? I always like to add some thunderstorm outside. Strong enough for the alarms to go off. Anyhow. So yeah, you can look up King Renaissance Talents, King Renaissance TV, have cool stuff going on over there. But if you want to stay here, that's fine. This is for social therapy, and you can also hit up my Instagram and TikTok, and I'm over there as well. So, all right. Till next time. Appreciate you guys hanging, always staying involved and supporting the channel. And have any questions and concerns or things you might want to talk about, hit me up here or my other platforms. And I'll talk to you soon. All right, King Renaissance.